Okay, so we're diving into something really interesting today.
Yeah, it should be fun.
This all started with one of our listeners reaching out, right? They wanted to know more about, all the searches about Chatgpt going down recently. I mean, obviously, like, outages happen, right?
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not just that ChatGPT went down, it's the way people were searching for it.
Interesting.
And that's where we got curious, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, what does that tell us about how we use this technology?
Totally.
So we dug into a bunch of data on these search trends.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it gets pretty fascinating.
Lay it on me.
Well, first, we need to kind of set the stage right. Like,
Yeah, what exactly is ChatGPT?
exactly. Some folks might be listening and they're like, chat what now?
Right?
So basically, ChatGPT, it's like this super smart AI chatbot. It can write different kinds of creative content. It can answer your questions.
Like a super helpful assistant?
Exactly. And it's gotten crazy popular.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere.
So you can imagine when it goes down, people kind of freak out a bit.
Well, yeah, you get used to having something that's suddenly poof.
And the data shows that freak out in a big way.
Oh, really? How so?
So we're seeing a ton of searches, all variations of like ChatGPT down,
Okay.
is ChatGPT down, ChatGPT outages, you name it.
Wow. So not just a few people checking.
No, like a flood of searches.
Interesting.
And even the way they're typing it changes.
What do you mean?
Like sometimes it's ChatGPT all spelled out, other times it's ChatGPT, all lowercase, no spaces.
I guess people just want to find answers fast.
Right. And I think that's the first takeaway here, this sense of urgency.
Makes sense when you rely on something so much.
It's like your internet going out.
Yeah.
You immediately jump on your phone like, is it just me?
Is the world ending? Haha.
Exactly. And with ChatGPT, it's not just like, oh, this is a fun thing I use sometimes.
Right, it's become essential for a lot of folks.
For work, for their creative projects, even just like getting information quickly.
So an outage is like a wrench in the gears.
Big time. And I think the repetition in the searches really emphasizes that.
Like they're checking over and over, making sure it's not just them.
Exactly. And maybe even a little frustration creeping in there. Like, come on, get it together, ChatGPT.
Yeah, I have a deadline.
Totally. And this isn't just about ChatGPT. It's a bigger picture thing.
What do you mean?
Think about all the AI tools we use now.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
From these chatbots to like those AI image generators, even like smart home stuff.
Right, we're becoming more and more reliant on this tech.
Exactly. And that's convenient and cool, but it also makes us vulnerable.
Because if it goes down, we're kind of stuck.
And these ChatGPT outages are just a tiny example.
A taste of what could happen on a bigger scale.
Exactly. Imagine like all the AI-powered systems we use for transportation or finance.
Yeah, if those go down, it's not just an inconvenience anymore.
It's a huge disruption.
So what are we supposed to do? Just stop using AI?
Well, I don't think that's realistic or even desirable.
AI has a lot of potential benefits.
Exactly. But I think this ChatGPT situation is a wake-up call.
To be more prepared.
Yeah, like maybe we need to think about backup plans.
If the AI goes down, what do we do?
Exactly. Or redundancy, having multiple systems in place just in case.
That makes sense.
And maybe even considering like, hey, are there non-AI ways to do this too?
Just in case.
So we're not completely reliant on one thing.
It's like putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for our listeners.
What's that?
These outages aren't just about a website going down. They're about our growing dependence on this technology.
That's a good point.
And it's something we need to be mindful of moving forward.
Because AI is only going to become more integrated into our lives.
Exactly. So what happens when those systems fail? How do we prepare for that?
How do we ensure our digital resilience?
Big questions, right?
Definitely ones worth pondering.
And ones we'll keep exploring as we dive deeper into this world of AI.
Looking forward to it.
Me too.
Me too. And so,
All right, so anyone else out there trying to get ChatGPT to, I don't know, write a holiday poem or maybe help with a presentation, and then bam, nothing. Yeah, just error messages.
yeah.
Super frustrating. Right. Well, it seems like ChatGPT's been having a bit of a rough December. Lots of people are talking about these outages, so we figured, let's do a deep dive into what's really going on.
Yeah, for sure.
What do we know so far? I mean, fill us in.
Yeah, so ChatGPT, and actually it's not just ChatGPT, some other OpenAI service too, like their API, and even that new Sora video generator.
Oh, wow.
They've been having multiple outages this month. The worst of it seems like it was on December 26th, and then also there was a pretty bad one between the 11th and 12th.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like a little, oh, it's back up in a minute kind of thing. We're talking thousands of users, right? Globally, I mean, people couldn't access these tools at all.
Yeah.
I was seeing people freaking out on Reddit, like thinking their accounts are messed up. Can you imagine? Like you're a student with a deadline, or you're a writer working on a project, and suddenly your AI assistant is just gone.
Poof, gone. It's especially bad because the timing, I mean, it really couldn't have been worse. This all happened right in the middle of OpenAI's big 12 Days of OpenAI event. They were launching all these new features.
Yeah.
So it does make you wonder, did they kind of push the system too hard, too fast?
Yeah, did they bite off a little more than they could chew, you know?
Yeah.
You think they'd be ready for all that extra traffic, all the new people checking it out, especially during like a big promotional event.
Right, you think so. So let's get into like what actually happened on a technical level. So that December 26th outage, OpenAI is saying it was because of an upstream provider.
Okay, can you translate that for us normal folks? What does that even mean?
Okay, so imagine your internet at home just stops working.
Ugh, the worst.
The worst, right. But it might not be like your modem or your router that's the problem. It might be something, further up the chain.
Okay.
Like your internet service provider is having some sort of issue.
Right.
So it's the same idea here. OpenAI, they depend on other companies for all these essential services. And one of those companies had a problem. And that problem, it kind of cascaded down and ended up taking Chatgpt offline.
Got it.
And some people are even thinking that maybe it was Microsoft Azure.
Microsoft Azure.
Yeah, because they host a lot of OpenAI's infrastructure.
So it's like even the most advanced AI is still at the mercy of just like basic internet infrastructure.
Totally.
Kind of puts things in perspective a little bit.
It does. But now let's talk about that other outage, the one on December 11th.
Yeah, that one sounded even more complicated.
That one was, they're calling it a telemetry service mishap. So think of a telemetry service like the dashboard in your car. It's basically telling you how everything's running, like your engine temperature, fuel level, that kind of stuff. Well, OpenAI uses this telemetry service to keep an eye on the health of their systems. And apparently, somebody misconfigured the service. It's almost like if you accidentally set off like every alarm in your car all at the same time.
Oh, gosh.
The system got completely flooded with data and just basically shut down to try to protect itself.
So one tiny little mistake can bring down this whole huge AI system.
Yeah, pretty much. It really shows you how complicated and how interconnected their whole infrastructure is. Everything has to be working just perfectly for the whole thing to function.
And when it's not,
chaos.
Total chaos.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with, are we stuck with unreliable AI? Is it the price we pay for having, this really cool cutting edge technology?
Well, the good news is, as of today, December 27th, OpenAI is saying that everything's back up and running. They've said they're sorry for all the disruptions, and they're putting things in place so that these outages hopefully won't happen again. Like better monitoring systems and being a little more cautious about rolling out tons of new features all at once.
Okay, that's good to hear. It's reassuring, at least for now.
Yeah.
But it does make you think, as AI gets more and more integrated into our everyday lives, how do we deal with this potential for things to go wrong? What if we become too reliant on AI for really important tasks? And then it just fails.
That's a big question. It's not just about, holiday poems or presentations anymore. Imagine if, AI-powered medical diagnoses, if that system went offline. Or what if financial systems crashed because the AI running them went down? These outages, they're frustrating, yes, but I think they're a good lesson for us.
Yeah.
They show us that it's really important to have strong, reliable infrastructure, to plan carefully, and maybe even to have some backup plans, just in case the AI decides to take a break.
It's like we're in the Wild West of AI right now. We're just figuring things out as we go. So, I'm going to leave you all with something to think about. As AI gets even more advanced, more complicated, are these outages going to become more common? Or will the technology get to a point where it's really stable and reliable? What do you think the future holds for AI reliability? And what does that mean for all of us?
Good question.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See ya. Remember December 26th? When Chatgpt went down, it felt like the whole internet just stopped, and everybody was talking about AI, about how reliable it is, or isn't. And if you're listening to this deep dive, You probably felt that outage yourself. So today, we're going to revisit that outage. But we're going to go deeper than that. We're going to talk about some previous outages too, and then we're going to explore what these outages tell us about AI, about AI's place in our world.
Yeah, it's interesting. This wasn't just a little glitch. It was a full-on blackout. It wasn't just ChatGPT that went down. OpenAI's API was down too. That's the engine. That's the engine behind so many AI apps. And even their Sora video generator was down.
I remember those early messages from OpenAI. They were so vague, they kept blaming an upstream provider. I don't know about you, but that didn't really calm my nerves. A lot of other people felt the same way. Remember all those searches? Is ChatGPT down right now? I bet you searched that yourself. Down Detector had over 50,000 reports. It was trending everywhere, all over X, formerly Twitter. This really hit a nerve, and not just for casual users.
I know. Imagine this. Imagine you're in the middle of something important, and you need these tools. Maybe you're a student with a paper due. Maybe you're a freelancer writing for a client. Maybe you're a therapist, and you're using it to analyze notes. And then suddenly, poof, it's gone. This outage was more than just an inconvenience. It showed us how much we rely on these systems.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, as AI gets more important, what safeguards do we need?
Exactly. And to answer that question, we need to know. We need to know what caused this in the first place. What caused this digital blackout? Was it a hack? Was it some rogue AI? Well, the truth is a little less exciting, but more concerning. It was a power failure at a Microsoft data center.
Microsoft? What does Microsoft have to do with ChatGPT?
Well, that's where things get interesting.
Yeah.
Microsoft, they're the exclusive cloud provider for OpenAI. This means all those fancy AI models, all that data, everything that makes ChatGPT work, it all lives inside Microsoft's infrastructure.
The one power outage can take down ChatGPT. It can take down Xbox Cloud Gaming. Who knows what else? That's a lot of eggs in one basket.
That's exactly right. And this isn't a one-time thing. Remember June. Remember November. There were outages then too. This keeps happening. And it shows us there's a weakness in how we build AI, in how we use AI. Think of it like a bridge with only one support beam. If that beam fails, the whole bridge collapses. That's what we're risking here.
But OpenAI chose this for a reason, didn't they? They must have thought about the benefits.
Oh, for sure. Partnering with Microsoft. Especially in the early days, you'll probably save them money. You'll probably let them grow quickly. But this December outage, it shows the problems. It shows the risks. And this wasn't just any power failure. This happened at a data center. That's the heart, the physical heart of cloud infrastructure. That's where all the data is. That's where it's processed. Without power, those servers go dark. And services like ChatGPT, they vanish.
So for anyone listening who doesn't know much about cloud infrastructure, it's like the electrical grid of the internet. Data centers are these massive warehouses filled with servers, super powerful computers, working all the time. They're the foundation of everything we do online. So when a data center loses power, it's like turning off the electricity to a whole city. And in this case, that city was OpenAI.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they meant by upstream provider. They were saying the problem wasn't their software, it was the infrastructure that someone else was providing. And that someone was Microsoft.
So OpenAI can't just fix their code. They're dependent on their cloud provider.
Exactly.
So have they done enough to stop this from happening again?
Well, let's talk about that in part 2. We'll look at OpenAI's response and what they're doing to address these concerns. So OpenAI did get things working again by December 27th. But is that enough? Is that enough to make users feel confident? Users who use these tools all the time?
That's a good question. Getting things back online is one thing, but what are they actually doing to stop this from happening again?
Right. They said they're looking into it. They said they're going to fix it. But they've said that before. After every outage.
Yeah, it's frustrating. They need to be more open. They need to tell us what they're doing if they want us to trust them.
I agree. Users deserve to know what's OpenAI doing about Microsoft, about this single point of failure. Are they thinking about using other cloud providers? What about backup systems? These are important questions, especially when you think about how these outages affect people.
Speaking of which, remember those Reddit threads? It wasn't just memes and complaints. People were sharing their stories about how this outage messed things up for their work, for their studies, even for their personal lives.
Imagine you're a student. and you're using ChatGPT to write a paper about the history of artificial intelligence, ironically. You have a deadline, and then suddenly, ChatGPT stops working. No more help with brainstorming, no more quick fact-checking. What do you do?
That would be so stressful, one Redditor said. They had to stay up all night to finish their paper. The old-fashioned way.
Yeah, and that's not even the worst of it. Imagine you're a freelancer, and you make money by creating content with AI. Or maybe you own a small business, and you use ChatGPT for customer service or for marketing. When these tools go down, it hurts their business.
Yeah, it's easy to forget how much we use AI now. We're so used to it. We expect it to work all the time.
This outage, it reminded us how much we depend on AI.
And not just that, it also hurt people's trust. When ChatGPT goes down over and over, people stop trusting it. They might not want to use it anymore, especially for important things, because they know it could disappear at any time.
It's like having a friend who's always late. Eventually you stop making plans with them, because you can't count on them.
Yeah, but in this case, it's not just a social event. It's our work, our education, our livelihoods.
Exactly, and that loss of trust. It could hurt the whole AI industry if people don't think these systems are reliable. They won't use them, and that could slow down progress for everyone.
So what's the answer? Can we make these AI systems better, more resilient? Can we stop these outages from happening?
Those are the big questions, and there are no easy answers. These AI systems, they're incredibly complex. They need so much data. They need complicated algorithms. They need a really sophisticated infrastructure.
So even a small problem can cause a big outage, like the one we saw on December 26th.
Exactly. And that's why the Microsoft thing is important. OpenAI is putting all their eggs in one basket. If something happens to Microsoft's cloud, it can take down everything. But wouldn't that make things more expensive to use different cloud providers?
That's true. It would definitely cost more for OpenAI to use multiple clouds, and that it might end up on us. Higher prices or maybe less free access, but maybe it's worth it for more reliability, for peace of mind.
It's a trade-off. OpenAI needs to think about it. The whole AI industry needs to think about it. As AI becomes more important, more integrated into our lives, and diversification, it's just one part of the solution.
What else can they do to prevent these outages?
Well, they could build more redundancy into the systems themselves. Imagine having backup servers, backup data centers, ready to go. If the main ones fail,
like having a spare tire. You hope you never need it, but it's good to have it.
Exactly. They also can be better at monitoring and detecting problems early on. Imagine if they had a system that could tell about power problems or server overloads before they caused an outage.
That would give them time to fix things before it became a big problem.
Right. And finally, they need better failover mechanisms. These are backup plans. They kick in automatically. When something goes wrong, think of it like a detour. When there's an accident on the highway.
So instead of everything stopping, the system switches over to a backup.
Exactly. But all of this, it's going to cost OpenAI a lot of money. And it takes a lot of expertise. And even then, they can't prevent every outage.
Because things happen?
That's right. Remember the early internet, dial-up connections, constant disconnections.
Yeah.
Websites took forever to load.
Oh, yeah. I remember those days. It was frustrating. But things got better. And now we have high-speed internet.
Exactly. And I think the same thing will happen with AI. As it gets better, it'll become more reliable, more accessible, more integrated into our lives. But this December outage, it was a wake-up call. It reminded us that we're still in the early days. There will be problems along the way.
So what can we do as users? Do we just have to wait and see?
There are things you can do to be more proactive. First, stay informed. Check OpenAI's status page. It'll tell you if there's an outage.
Good advice. Forewarned is forearmed.
And don't rely on just one tool. Try other AI tools too.
Yeah.
That way, if one goes down, you have other options.
Like a backup generator.
Exactly.
And what about speaking up? Letting OpenAI know what we think.
That's important too. Tell them. If you want transparency, you want redundancy, you want them to fix these problems. The more people who speak up, the more they'll listen.
It's like anything else. Vote with your wallet. Make your voice heard.
But there's a bigger question here. What happens to society if we become too reliant on AI that can just stop working?
That's a scary thought.
It is. As AI gets more powerful, more widespread, these outages could become much worse, even dangerous. Imagine self-driving cars, smart grids, financial markets, all controlled by AI. And then the AI goes offline. What happens then?
Okay, now I'm really worried.
It's something to think about. We need to start thinking about it now,
Yeah.
before it's too late.
But are we getting ahead of ourselves? This is all hypothetical.
True, we haven't seen any AI disasters yet, but that doesn't mean we should wait. We need to be careful. We need to understand AI's limitations. We need to use it responsibly.
So it's about finding a balance between the good things about AI and the risks.
Exactly. And that brings us to the key takeaways from this deep dive into the Chatgpt outage.
Okay, so let's recap. What did we learn about this Chatgpt outage, it seems like? These outages are happening more often, and they could get worse as AI gets more powerful.
Yeah, that's the first takeaway. And remember, what caused this? It wasn't some complicated code. It was a power outage at a data center. It shows you how fragile these systems are.
So takeaway number 2, even the best AI can be taken down by basic problems.
Exactly. And takeaway number 3, relying on one company, like Microsoft, is a big risk. It's a single point of failure.
Building a skyscraper on a foundation of sand.
I like that. So what now? What can our listeners do?
Well, first, stay informed. Check OpenAI's status page so you know what's going on.
Good idea. And don't put all your eggs in one basket. Try different AI tools. That way you have a backup.
Like a plan B.
Exactly. And one more thing. Speak up. Tell OpenAI what you think. Tell them you want transparency. You want redundancy. You want them to fix these problems.
This deep dive, it's made me realize how much we depend on AI.
It's true. We're so used to it. Instant information, creative tools, help with everyday tasks. We forget that it can all disappear.
And this outage, it wasn't just annoying, it affected people's lives, their work, even their mental health.
That's why it's important to talk about these things, to look at the good and the bad.
We shouldn't be afraid of AI, but we need to be careful. We need to demand better safeguards.
Think of it like this. We have rules for buildings, safety regulations. We need the same thing for our digital infrastructure.
So as AI gets more powerful, we can make sure it's reliable,
Right.
and that we use it responsibly.
That's the goal.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay curious.
2024 after being down for over 4 hours. This was not the first time such an issue occurred. Earlier outages in June and November of the same year had similar impact. OpenAI has not provided a detailed explanation for these outages, but promised a root cause analysis after each incident. The trend on X also reflected user experiences and frustrations with posts discussing the sudden unavailability of Chatgpt and other OpenAI services, emphasizing the high error rates and the lack of immediate resolution time provided by OpenAI. For the most current status on OpenAI services, users can check OpenAI's official status page or social media updates for real-time information. I'll be on the drums.